So many people talking about President Trump and the different medications that he was given. One of them, an antibody, another, a steroid known as dexamethasone, part of his COVID-19 treatments, typically used to treat conditions like arthritis, certain cancers, and some of the inflammation that goes along with that. We wanted to know more about that and some of the other things that he was given. Joining me live is Dr. Christopher Doering with the Franciscan Health unit there. Good to see you, Doctor, again. We appreciate you being here.
Hey, good. Absolutely. Good to be with you this morning.
Yeah, I know in the commercial break, I know we wanted to talk a little bit about this study that you all are part of with Eli Lilly, and that has to do with something that the president is taking too. Start with that and let us know about that.
Yeah, sure. So we've been part of a phase 2 trial with Eli Lilly looking at a monoclonal antibody to treat mild to moderately ill outpatients and seeing if that could help prevent them needing to be hospitalized. And in fact, they released the data a few weeks ago that said, in fact, it does. And so we're very pleased to be part of that. But a lot of different research trials going on around the country and around the world looking at COVID disease for sure.
Absolutely. A lot of people thrilled to hear kind of some of the things that the president is using, that they're seeing some success. There's also been a lot of criticism saying that he's able to get things that other people can't, and maybe that's why he was able to get better. Something, though, that a lot of people have taken over the years is dexamethasone. But again, that's in the news a lot. Tell us about that and why it would be given to someone like the president.
Sure. So dexamethasone is a corticosteroid. It actually suppresses the body's immune system. So it's frequently used in patients with arthritis, other inflammatory diseases, lung disease, things of that nature. Been around for a long time and can be very helpful for a number of different things. Interestingly, for COVID, one of the things that happens is the body mounts an overactive immune response, called a cytokine storm in some patients, and that can actually be what causes them to die. And so this steroid is a very inexpensive and accessible way to treat patients, particularly those who are severely ill. So that's a little unusual with the president's situation, but certainly in those patients who are severely ill, it's been shown to reduce their mortality by about 1/3, to be honest.
Yeah, so is that part of the question, though, if that is something that's given to somebody who's critically ill, does it lead you to believe that they were just throwing everything at the president, or that he was more serious than they thought in the beginning?
I think probably the former. I think, given his position and the fact that, you're not going to hold back anything in your arsenal because he's the president of the United States, they were using it in a little different way, in a little different context than what some of the research benefits have done.
All right, well, we'll continue to watch and see what happens here. Doctor, thank you so much. We appreciate it.